Hi YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. I am going to attempt to stick to a single topic for a video for a change. I know, that's shocking even for me. I used to do this. I used to do every week. I used to do a different topic and things, and I don't think I went off topic too often, but obviously in the last few years I've just kind of rambled in most of my videos. But today I want to address one particular thing that has got me upset, concerned, and it's the divisiveness that I'm seeing both within the trans community as well as within the wider LGBTQ community. The amount of gatekeeping and the amount of infighting among different groups of LGBT people, within the different folks within the trans community, and I, to be perfectly honest, am flabbergasted as well as dismayed, shocked. I mean, we have so much going against us in society still. I mean, yes, there is wider acceptance of LGBTQ people, now more than there has been in the past, but there are still lots and lots of people out there who are very much against all of us. I mean, there's a bill, I think, that recently was either introduced or passed in Tennessee that's preventing same-sex couples from adopting. There were 3 bills recently introduced in Florida. One that is very dangerous for trans children to not be able to get the medical help that they need. And this is not talking about getting a child surgery or getting a child hormones. This is just getting them the therapeutic treatments that they need. You know, just sitting down with a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a therapist and talking about being trans and things, and getting them prepared so that when they approach puberty they can have puberty blockers, hormone blockers, so that they have time before they get to the age of when they can start transitioning medically, that they don't have to deal with their own biological puberty, you know, until they have a chance to go through therapy and they have a chance to go through all of this stuff, and they want to block all of that. They want to prevent these children who are in desperate need of some help, and this could lead to an increase in suicides and self-harm and all sorts of horrible things. So, and that's just one of the bills. I forget what the other 2 bills are, but there are 3 anti-LGBTQ bills being introduced in. Oh yeah, I know at least one of them was rolling back protections for all LGBTQ people in Florida, not just trans people. And so there are so many people still against our community as a whole. The fact that we now have an organization called the LGB Alliance that split off from Stonewall. I believe they're in the UK, but you know, they have international influence, and they are very blatantly transphobic. They are very blatantly anti-trans. They don't believe in people having a different gender from their biological sex, and therefore they don't believe that transgender people are real. They view trans women as predators who just want to invade women's spaces. And while there are, yes, some examples of actual predators out there who are doing this, Jessica Yaniv is the only one that I can think of that's been proven that, yeah, that person is very problematic, and there are issues with that person. But that doesn't mean it's going to reflect on, or it should not reflect on, all trans women, because there's going to be very few actual transgender women who, you know, like, they are women, they're not even in generally attracted to other women. I mean, some of them are, some of them identify as lesbians, and others identify as straight and would prefer to date men and everything. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. Their sexuality and who they're attracted to is neither here nor there. They are women. The ones who are truly trans, whether they're, you know, what the prevalence of, I think it's called autogynephilia. So that's cisgender men who get sexually aroused by dressing up as women. That is an actual fetish out there, and whether or not some of them may choose to transition in order to fulfill their fantasies and sexual desires and things, those people are not trans, okay? And for some reason, there's this whole, they call themselves gender critical, but they are the TERF community, the trans exclusionary radical feminist community. They view that all trans women are these fetishists who are, you know, just sick men who are fetishizing women and that kind of thing. And they don't see that there is a fundamental difference between an actual transgender woman and someone who has a fetish. Is there any overlap between the two? Maybe. There might be. I don't know. I'm not a professional in this area, but that is not to say that all trans women are going to be fetishists. You know, there might be, you know, maybe 1% of them. There might be a 1% overlap or something. I don't know. No one's doing enough studies out there for us to have any actual knowledge or proof of what this is, but making grand claims of, yes, all trans women are evil fetish people who want to invade women's spaces and be predators against women and stuff, and it's like, that's just a load of bullshit in my opinion. Excuse my language, but you know, like I said, it's gotten me. All this stuff has gotten me riled up. And then on top of all that, you know, looking at those same people will look at someone like myself, and I have been, you know, not to my face necessarily, but, you know, directly at me, told that I'm just a failed lesbian. Excuse me, but I'm not even attracted to women. I've never been attracted to women. You know, I was attracted to men before I transitioned. I am still attracted to men. I still have no interest in women. And while that kind of, like, as I'm now presenting masculine and I'm transitioned into male and everything, that kind of makes me, you know, because of my sexuality, I'm seen as gay and everything. And I've had so many people say, well, no one's ever going to date you again. I'm like, so? Do you think I care? My reason for transitioning was not because I wanted to have more people that want to date me. You know, it had nothing to do with whether or not I'm trying to make myself more desirable. This has nothing to do with desirability. And using, like, well, no one's gonna want to date you anymore as a reason for, like, well, you shouldn't transition because, you know, there's all these people out there who would have dated you who won't now, and it's like, that's not a disincentive for me to not transition, especially at my stage in life anyway. And, you know, so again, my point is that there are so many people outside of the LGBTQ community who are against us, who are against lesbians and gays and bisexuals and transgender people and asexual people and genderqueer people and just, you know, like, in general, anyone who's part of the community, they are against us. So why are we trying to be so divisive within the community? Why are people, like, there's so many gender critical people who are lesbians, who identify as lesbians, and so they understand what it means to be excluded and being seen as other and to be looked down upon. And yet they are doing the same thing to those of us who are trans, and in some cases they even do it to bisexual people, and in some cases even asexual people are targeted, and it's like, why? I've had gay men, same thing. It's like there's a certain section of gay men out there who have, like, well, you know, I don't want to date a trans guy. It's like, well, then don't date us. Like, I'm not here saying that anyone has got to be forced to date anybody. You know, if you don't find me attractive and you don't want to have a relationship with me, then don't. You know, I mean, gay men weren't attracted to me before I transitioned. If they're still not attracted to me now, you know, who cares? You know, it's a personal preference thing. I really don't care. You know, don't tell me I shouldn't transition because all of a sudden I'm going to be even less desirable. You know, like, that's on you. You still find me undesirable? Whatever. That's not on me. I literally don't care. There are lots of trans guys out there that are happily married, in happy relationships, have found partners who accept them and love them. Whether or not I will, I don't even know if I still want to date again. It's been 4 years since I lost my husband. I really don't know if I ever want another partner, so I honestly can't say I care. But bottom line, I think we need to stop all the infighting. Looking at within the trans community, we've got people who are like, well, if you don't have dysphoria, or, you know, they're very narrow on, like, if you're not this, then you're not a trans guy. You're not trans at all. You have to have this and this and this and this. If you don't check off all the boxes in their mind, all of a sudden, well, you're not trans enough, or you're not trans at all, because, you know, like for myself, I don't have dysphoria with my genitalia, and therefore I'm not having any genital surgeries whatsoever. I did have a hysterectomy, and I did have top surgery, and I'm taking testosterone. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I have no interest in having anything else done to me, to my body. I'm happy with where I'm at, anatomically and everything, and the fact that I don't, like, you know, I'm not curled up in tears in a corner somewhere because I don't have a cisgender penis growing. You know, it's like, you know, I understand that for some trans guys that is a huge deal, and they get all the dysphoria around it, and that's, you know, that is something that they have to work on, and that's where phalloplasty comes into play, and other surgeries. There's metoidioplasty as well. There's options. I don't have that, and now that, you know, I still have a few more years of masculinization that will happen with the testosterone before everything kind of flattens out and just kind of goes even keel. But my voice has, I don't know if it's going to drop any further than it has. It's dropped quite a lot. And so I'm on the testosterone, I've had the voice change. I'm still waiting for the facial hair to kind of thicken up a little bit, but it's definitely coming in further and things. And my face will masculinize. That is such a hard word to say. My face will masculinize more than it has. But other than that, I'm pretty much done with my transition, and at this stage in the game, especially after I've had my top surgery, I am so comfortable in my skin now. So much more than I used to be. The only thing that still bothers me is my body shape a little bit. My thighs are still a bit on the thick side. I mean, they've shrunk a lot in the first year that I was on testosterone, and they continue to shrink. The fat is continuing to redistribute, and I'm exercising and trying to lose some weight and everything, so that as the fat redistributes, that I'm hoping to burn off enough so that there's less fat to distribute in the first place. But, you know, I may or may not continue to always have somewhat thicker thighs. I don't know. We'll see. That's not something I can control. That's a genetic thing on my part. But other than that, I'm really happy with how I look now. I'm really happy with my chest. I'm really happy with my voice. Those were two things. My chest and my voice were the two things that were giving me the most dysphoria of anything, and so I'm now, I have so much more confidence in who I am and how I present and everything else, and it's a great feeling. And I know that not all trans people get there, or it takes them a lot longer to get there. You know, we're all on our own journeys. Our journeys are all different. genetics plays a huge factor in how fast things change and where we go with things. And you know, for any one trans person to tell another trans person that you're not trans enough because of X, Y, and Z, why? Why would you gatekeep like that? I mean, some people, like, and there's the, they call themselves trans medicalists and stuff, so if you don't medically transition, you're not trans, blah, blah, blah. Completely ignoring the fact that there are people out there who are intolerant to hormones, and therefore they have medical issues where the hormones can cause them, you know, serious harm because of whatever condition that they've got. Their bodies just won't absorb it properly. I mean, there's so many reasons why some people who are definitely trans but cannot transition. They could maybe, you know, and I'm talking mostly from the perspective of a trans guy right now, because I'm not a trans woman, and so there's a whole other area out there that I am less familiar with. I have not researched as much because, well, I'm not a trans woman, so I am going to continue to speak from the trans male perspective. And from my perspective is, yeah, you know, you can cut your hair, you can change your clothes, you can try and train your voice to be lower. And you can still have surgery, although some people can be very sensitive to anesthesia and that kind of thing, and maybe surgery is not an option, so you have to stick with wearing a binder all the time, which can also be medically problematic. You can have bruised ribs and other things like that. So there are reasons why some people either cannot transition at all or can only transition partially. Or for like me, where I've transitioned as far as I'm going to, there's certain things I'm not doing as part of my transition. I'm not having genital surgery. That does not make me any less trans just because I'm not getting phalloplasty and I'm not going to have a 6-inch dick hanging between my legs. I'm sorry, I don't want one. It's not something I'm interested in. And so to exclude people because you don't meet every single checkbox in whatever category you think is required to make someone trans enough or LGBTQ enough or whatever. There's just so many issues and stuff. So anyway, that's just kind of why I just wanted to get all that off my chest. And like I said, I'm going to try and stick to this one topic, so thank you for joining me. And until next time, take care.